Hi, I'm Venus O'Hara and welcome to another video. Today I'm going to talk about all the jobs I had before I was a professional sex toy tester, and there were many different things that I've done so many things. Let's start at the beginning. My very first job was washing up in a cafe when I was 14 years old. And I remember I used to get £1.90 an hour. So I remember counting up all my coins, and with that money I had the objective of going on a French school trip. And I did, and I was so happy to have worked for my own money, because I know a lot of people who went on that school trip to France, their parents had paid for them, and not only that, they didn't have the same passion about learning French that I had. So I remember my first job washing up with nostalgia and great satisfaction, because that was the beginning of my hard-working spirit. And then, the next job I had was when I was 16. I was doing my A-levels in England, and I was working on the fitting room of CNA. Oh my God, I think it was probably, I have to say, it's one of the worst jobs I've ever done, because often I was working on Saturday mornings, and it was a 4-hour shift. Maybe, yeah, it was very hard work, just standing up in those lights. And I had a hangover a lot of the time as well. I didn't drink alcohol at the time, and I was just discovering alcohol, because so those hangovers were pretty harsh. And also I thought in England, growing up in England, I thought that was the norm, just getting really drunk every weekend. So that was very hard, just being like, are you going to take that? How many items? And then with this plastic card, and then putting the number in, oh my God, and then counting the clothes, hanging them up. It was so monotonous. But it was very well paid, actually, and as I was a student I didn't pay tax, so it was pretty good. Then the next job I did, well, I was a waitress. I've been a waitress in restaurants and in bars, and it's a very different experience. I've done it so many times actually throughout university. I think I might have worked in maybe nearly 10 places, and it's always something I could do just to get some extra money at the time. And also, if you have a nice smile, then you can get tips as well. So it can be quite a good job, really, if you're a student. And for me, I have lots of experiences with waitressing, and one thing I couldn't do was carry all the plates, and there's a certain way to just stack some plates up in your hand and then scrape the food into another one, and I can't remember how many plates I've dropped. And I remember the first day I worked in a certain in a cafe, and I actually spilt red wine on someone's white top. So I was a very clumsy waitress, very clumsy. It's a miracle I actually got any tips. Anyway, but as a barmaid, I think I was a lot better. And being a barmaid as well was a great, when I actually gave up alcohol when I lived in Paris as a student, and then I was a barmaid a couple of times when I was not drinking alcohol, and that was just an excellent way to see how silly people become when they drink. It's just like, oh my God, I'm never drinking again. But I did. Anyway, next job I had, au pair. Oh my God, that was terrible. Well, I'm grateful for that experience. I was an au pair in Paris during the first summer of my time at university. I was studying French and European studies, and I really wanted to improve my French before going to live in Paris the following year, and I did. And in the process of learning French, I actually lost my maternal instinct. It was a huge eye-opener to what caring for 2 young children was like. It was really hard work, very tiring. Also, there was a nanny in the day and au pair me in the evening, and the parents. There's like 4 adults. We were exhausted. So yeah, next experience, well, the following year I went to Paris and I got an internship in an international marketing company, and that was amazing. A really great experience. I think after waitressing and working in CNA on the fitting rooms, etc., just to be able to sit down at a desk and have a computer almost seemed luxurious compared to that. And yeah, not being rushed off your feet And even and being busy was a different meaning. It was more comfortable, you know, at least you were sitting down and yeah. So that was a very, very good experience. And also speaking French all day long. It was mentally exhausting at the beginning, but incredibly satisfying when I actually started understanding everything. It was incredible. So that was an amazing experience. And also my time in Paris, I got Latin fever, or I started listening to Spanish a lot of the time because a lot of my friends were South American and Spanish, and that's why I thought I'm going to go to Spain after uni, and that's what I did. And when I came to Spain, I was an English teacher, and that was a very easy profession to go in. I did my TEFL course, which only took 1 month, and I did that in Madrid. So that was really cool. And that course was very, very intense, and I would recommend anyone to do it if they want to be a teacher, because at first it was very daunting to be in front of a class and to present English grammar, because we don't learn English grammar like foreign people do. I mean, I asked someone yesterday, an English guy, do you know what a modal verb is? And he's like, no. So I think it was good for me to learn a lot about English grammar, because we don't really learn like foreign people learn English, and that has helped me with other languages later on. It's helped me learn Spanish and Catalan, having a greater understanding of grammar in general. Teaching was never my passion, but I am a language student, so I could really empathize with my students and explain things very, very, very clearly. And then later on, I published a book called English for Perverts. So I've developed my own English language learning method for foreigners, and so it was definitely not time wasted. Oh yeah, another thing about English teaching. So I did business English teaching and then general English teaching for people who were paying for their own classes in the evening, or university students. So it was very different teaching someone who's paying for their own classes compared to teaching in a company where the classes are being paid for. And obviously business English has got this different, it's not as flexible, maybe the topics. But the experience of being with my business English students made me curious about marketing and sales in companies. So I was really, I used the opportunity to actually learn about business, because what I wanted to do, I really didn't want to be an English teacher in Spain. I wanted to work in exports. I wanted to work in export sales and use my French and English and travel, and that was the next job I did. I came to Barcelona, and I actually worked in a help desk. I was so adamant about not teaching English again, because that's what everyone seemed to do. Every time I met an English person here or an American, it's like, what do you do? English teacher, English teacher, English teacher. And I was like, no, it was just not for me. And also I found that my students were not as passionate about learning languages as I was about learning Spanish. So it just seemed to be spending my days saying people are, not people is, depend on, not depend of. And it was very, very boring, apart from the networking side. Anyway, the next job I did, going back, sorry about that, was Helpdesk, and that was a wonderful opportunity because I worked on the French team. So I hadn't spoken French for a couple of years, and it was quite hard at the beginning just to get into it, but it was like very satisfying to get to spend my days speaking French at work and then go home and be speaking Spanish to my flatmates. It just was like mental aerobics constantly, and I loved that. So it was a wonderful experience. And it was like Erasmus at work, because in the company I worked in, we were 30 young people representing 8 languages. And a lot of the people were just in Barcelona for a few months or just to learn Spanish. So we all met at the weekends as well and went out together. So it really was like Erasmus at work. Fantastic experience. But then all of those friends went back to their countries to pursue more serious careers, and I stayed. And what did I do next? Then I worked in export sales. I really wanted to work in export sales, and that had come from when I was an English teacher. So I finally had some more business knowledge, and I was very lucky in an interview. I got a job in export sales in a printer, which was interesting. At first, I mean, I love the world of books. I love books. I'm not a Kindle person. I like the smell of books, and I just like them. And so working in a printer was a fantastic experience, and I had to set up an export department from scratch, and that's how I started working in erotica, because I specifically targeted erotic and fetish publishers in London, and I was printing their books and some magazines as well. So that's how it all started, and I started getting very curious about working in that sector rather than printing or anything else. And also my orders caused a massive scandal in the company I was working in, so that was quite fun at work actually. But then obviously print media is dying, and even though I was quite successful in that job, my orders just started disappearing basically, and it got to a point where you can't just go to work as a salesperson just with your basic salary. You've got to be making sales just for your pride, you know. Don't be there. I don't know. I just felt like I wasn't making any progress. So then I had a massive sector change, and I went to work in luxury real estate, which was probably the worst time to do it, because this was 2007. So no one was buying anything, and but I was working in luxury real estate, so my clients were not looking for their main residence, and they all were paying with cash. They were very affluent people looking to invest in Barcelona, and I had no salary. Well, I had salary for about 6 months or something, so it was a massive risk for me to just leave a very secure work environment of the printer, but with no sales, just for my ego or my pride or something, and then to just go into luxury real estate with a 6-month risk, you know. Just after 6 months I would have to really work for my money, because there was no salary at all. It was very challenging, especially working Monday to Friday sometimes with lots and lots of viewings, and then not making a single euro. However, the networking opportunities were amazing, and a lot of my clients actually inspired me to create my own online business, and that's what happened. So after selling a couple of apartments in real estate when I really couldn't take any more of the crisis, I got my money, and I thought, I'm going to set up a blog and have an orgasmic career instead, and that's what I did. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this video, and see you in the next one.